Hello, geographers! Welcome back to our first unit in Social Studies Geography. I am Mrs. Lamondo. Today, we are all the way up to Lesson 6, which is all about place. So let's get started. All right, Lesson 6, place. So first, I just want you to think, what is one of your favorite places and what makes it special or unique? It could be a place far away or a place really close. For example, one of my favorite places was my grandparents' house growing up. They lived here in Nashua, and I loved going to their house. My grandfather would always buy Lifesaver popsicles, and there was only one pineapple per box. So, of course, all of my cousins and I would always fight over the pineapple. When I think back to that place, it's really special to me. I can remember the smell of it. I remember the way everything looked. And even though my grandparents are no longer with us and, my family doesn't own the house anymore, I still think fondly of that place. On the flip side of that, one of my favorite places that I've ever been to is Costa Rica. It was unlike anything else. I really enjoy going places and learning the local culture. I do know a good amount of Spanish, enough to get by. So it was nice that my husband and I could meet locals and really learn about the local culture. So think about one of your favorite places. So here is a place. How would you describe this place? What is it like? I'll give you a minute to do so now. This place definitely looks a lot different than where we live here in Nashua, New Hampshire, because of the sand and maybe the climate. There are a lot of places in the world that look very different than where we live. So place can be described by two features. You can describe them by the human features, which could be the population, things that are man-made like roads or bridges or pyramids in the last slide, and the culture. That could be the food, the music, the stories, or even the farming, what they grow there. Or you could describe a place by the physical features. That could be the landforms, the climate, the oceans, waterways, plant and animal life. Human features interact with physical features. So in our last slide, we saw that we were in Egypt and there was tons of sand. And that obviously is a physical feature. But humans made the pyramids, made the Great Sphinx. So we can see how human and physical features interact. So here is a whole map of lots of physical features. Some of these things we would see here in New Hampshire and some we wouldn't. So if we look, we definitely see mountains here in New Hampshire. Glaciers, not so much. But as we'll learn in a later social studies unit all about the state of New Hampshire, our state and our area of the United States was formed by a giant glacier. So I can't wait to get to that later this year. Perhaps you've seen waterfalls or tributaries. Tributaries are little rivers that run into bigger rivers. Maybe you've been to the beach. Maybe you've seen a barrier sandbar or a harbor or an isthmus. Maybe you've been on a peninsula or an island. Maybe you've been to a cape. Cape Cod is not too far from us. We definitely don't see volcanoes here in New Hampshire though, but maybe you've been someplace that they do. There are so many physical features all across our world. So here in the United States of America, we can see some physical features here if we look at the map. We can see that waterways, like oceans, are typically written in blue. So we see the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific Ocean, the Mississippi River Delta, the Missouri River, the Mississippi River, the Rio Grande, which separates the United States of America from Mexico. And then we see things like mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, which are the mountains that run through our state. They are so old. And the Rocky Mountains, which are very, very tall and steep mountains that are newer than the Appalachian Mountains. We see giant lakes like the Great Salt Lake. We see places like the Painted Desert. I even see a place called Death Valley. If you've never heard of Death Valley, we're going to get to that in a later slide today. So we can see that there are all sorts of physical features across our great country. The United States of America is so unique, so let's explore it. This is one of my favorite all-time videos.
somewhere, yeah. Places I've never been, yeah. Going on a tour without a care. I want to take a little trip somewhere, yeah. Places I've never been, yeah. Going on a tour. First I'm gonna see Nashville, Tennessee. Then Madison, Wisconsin is where I gotta be. Yeah. Then I'll take a plane to... Well, actually, I'm afraid to fly, so I think I'll take a train. Let's go, go, go.
Going to Trenton, New Jersey, Frankfurt, Kentucky. Take a trip to Jackson, Mississippi. Let's see what they can show me. In Jefferson City, Missouri. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Denver, Colorado. Boise, Idaho. I love it every time that I go. In 1492, sail the ocean blue. But next week I'll see Columbus and Ohio. Grab a little sunshine. Take a bite of a beach in Atlanta, Georgia. I've never been to Carson City in Nevada or Lincoln, Nebraska. You can catch me in Phoenix, Arizona, or Sacramento, California, yeah. St. Paul, Minnesota, maybe Juneau, Alaska, yeah. I want to take a little trip somewhere, yeah. Places I've never been, yeah. Going on a tour without a care. Take a little trip somewhere, yeah. Places I've never been, yeah. Going on a tour. Boston, Massachusetts, Concord, New Hampshire. Going to Vermont, Montpelier. Montgomery, Alabama, and Washington, D.C. to see the nation's capital. To Honolulu, Hawaii, Des Moines, Iowa, so peaceful to me. Going to Springfield, Illinois, the little house on the prairie. Little Rock, Arkansas, I saw. Going back to Dover, Delaware, cause I want more. Indianapolis, Indiana, and Hartford, Connecticut, and Encore. Smelling pine trees in Augusta, Maine. I like Topeka, Kansas. I'm glad that I came, but I've never been to Salt Lake City in Utah, Richmond, Virginia. Gonna see Bismarck, North Dakota, Charleston, West Virginia. Annapolis, Maryland, baby, Lansing, Michigan, yeah. Helena, Montana, Columbia, South Carolina. Gotta go to Pierre, South Dakota, yeah. Follow if you wanna. I'll be eating a banana in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Schedule that for my planner. Friends say I gotta come sooner to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So I guess we're gonna. But first I'm coming to Cheyenne, Wyoming, Party, North Carolina, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Can't think of a rhyme for Pennsylvania, so I'm skipping to Salem, Oregon, then Austin, Texas, and then maybe Albany, New York for breakfast. Providence, Rhode Island was a blast, and Olympia, Washington was just the bestest. I want to take a little trip somewhere, yeah. Places I've never been. Somewhere, yeah, places I've never been, yeah. Going on a tour. I want to take a little trip somewhere, yeah. Places I've never been, yeah. Going on a tour without a care. I want to take a little trip somewhere, yeah. Places I've never been, yeah. Going on a tour.
I love that Tour of States video. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but the gentleman who was singing the song, when he got to New Hampshire, he said our capital is Concord, which it is because it's spelled C-O-N-C-O-R-D. But believe it or not, we have accents here. So we say Concord. So we can tell that the singer of this video is not local to New Hampshire because he pronounced it the way it looks phonetically, Concord instead of Concord. And we'll soon find that people are so different all across of our regions. So now let's look at some slides of some places across the United States of America that may look very different from where we live. This is the Gulf of Mexico. So this is the area down south, kind of that borders like Florida, Louisiana, kind of all in there into Mexico. So this is an aerial view of the Great Lakes. There are 5 Great Lakes. They are Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. So there's 5, and they are ginormous. If you were to stand on the shore of one of the Great Lakes, it would look like just like standing out and looking at the ocean. And our Great Lakes are northern to us, so they kind of separate us from Canada, our friendly neighbors to the north. Here are the Rocky Mountains. As I mentioned earlier, the Rocky Mountains are out west, kind of in the area of Colorado, and they're considered the backbone of America. Now, your backbone runs up and down your back, and these mountains kind of run through almost the center of our country. The Rocky Mountains were formed much later than the Appalachian Mountains, so they're much taller and steeper than the Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are the mountain range where we live, that run from Maine all the way down to Georgia. Here's Niagara Falls. Wow, look at that view. So Niagara Falls can be found in New York. And there's actually a set of falls on the Canadian side. So the falls are on the American side, but there's also a Canadian side. And they call their falls the American Falls. Here's the Mississippi River, one of the largest rivers in our country. We can see here that the waterway is used to ship goods all across our great country. Death Valley, I told you we were coming back to it. Death Valley is not called Death Valley because a lot of things die there. It's called Death Valley because not a lot of things live there. The average daily temperature is usually about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That's super hot. Here in New Hampshire, on really, really hot summer days, maybe it gets to like 90, 92, 95. But in Death Valley, the average daily temperature is 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And here is the Grand Canyon, one of our national parks and preserved places. Do you know which president set aside national lands to be preserved so future generations could enjoy them? It was Teddy Roosevelt. He really felt strongly about having preserved places, national parks. That way we people can enjoy them. No one can own the Grand Canyon and keep it from us. They are for the people of America. And the Great Plains. The Great Plains stretch across the middle of our country, and this is actually a wheat field. So if you eat bread or pasta or cereal, typically it's harvested from wheat. And we can see the land is very, very flat as far as the eye can see. So now let's look at some cultural and physical features of the United States of America. And we can see here, right on the beginning slide, we see Mount Rushmore. So of course we have George Washington, our first president. We have Thomas Jefferson. We have Teddy Roosevelt, and we have Abraham Lincoln. So in this video, we are going to see places all across the United States of America, some of which will look familiar to you and some of which will not. It's always so great to see what a vast country we are and see the history that brings us together. So now, today you're going to show what you know. You have an assignment to do. You're going to look at a Southwest landforms map and then answer the questions about it in Google Forms. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Let me show you first the map. Here it is. So there are questions on this map, but you're not going to answer the questions here. You're going to answer them in Google Forms. So you can see that this is a map of the Southwest United States. It includes the states of Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Arizona. We can see that there's different landforms on there. We can see the Rocky Mountains, the Great Plains, the Central Plains, the Coastal Plains. We see that cities and capitals are also on there. Capitals are notated with a star, like Phoenix, Arizona, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and Austin, Texas. We see that major cities are notated with a dot. So we can see Tulsa, Oklahoma, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tucson, Arizona. So you're going to use this map to then answer questions in Google Forms. So let me show you the Google Forms. All right, here they are. So today's Google form, Remote Geography Lesson 6, of course, you're going to put your name. So we have multiple choice options today using the map I just showed you. Which landform covers the northeastern corner of Arizona? Which region is Oklahoma City located in? Which region is Houston located? Which state is most likely to have agricultural activity? Why? Agricultural activity means the ability to grow crops. So think about what you need to grow crops. And what desert is located near Tucson? So today you're going to fill out that Google form and it will be given to your homeroom teacher, either Mr. Castor, Mrs. Palermo, or myself. So that is all for today. I will see you next time when we explore Lesson 7 of Geography. Until then, bye.